Alright, YouTuber, what's going on? Today we're looking at a, well, not a new product. I actually reviewed it before on the channel. Long time ago. The first ever RS AK side mount. Like, I think it's my first video ever uploaded. Then I didn't upload a video for a couple years, and then I started, regularly uploading videos. So, great products. Have made awesome AK mounts for years now. And this is actually the AK307, which is, this is specific for the Yugo pattern of rifles, which is what I have, a NPAP. You can see here I'm rocking the primary arms 1-6, which you've seen on the channel before. And I have a Midwest Industries style rail, which is actually an eBay clone, which actually works really well for the money. But it sits pretty high, as you can see. I had to modify it, I had to Dremel it just to get it to fit on there right. And it's not horribly high. I'm just turning the rifle around to show you a better indication of the spacing there. There you go. Should be able to see that pretty well. So look at the spacing there. It's, you've got, I can fit my whole finger under there pretty easy. So you got a good amount of space there. Now the nice thing about the Yugos is they do have a raised cheek weld if you use the stock furniture, which I love the wood on this rifle. I think it's beautiful. I don't want to switch it out. But it's got a nice raised cheek comb, so it actually isn't too bad with this. But with this mount, the RS products, you're going to see, RS Regulate mount, excuse me, you're going to see how much lower it is. So once we get it all mounted, and I'll kind of show you how it works as I'm doing the process, because it's a two-piece mount. This is actually the only mount that's part of the mount that's Yugo specific. It's specifically made for the NPAP, OPAP, and M70 rifles to fit on the side rail, because they're a little different. That's the only specific part. This part is actually will work on any RS product, or RS Regulate. This is the AKR. It's just a Picatinny rail. And you can use this with any of the mounts. So that's what's nice. This is a modular system. Now I got this from my good friends over there at Primary Arms. So we'll go ahead and start putting this on the rifle, and we'll be right back. So the way this works is you slide it on. You have this little locking lever here. So you're going to get that position where you want it. Put that down. And then you're going to tighten that. I found an 11/30 seconds. This is a nut driver, but ratchet would work. Is what works for this little nut. So you press that in, just exposes that, and then you just tighten it with this. Alright, so once you get it on there, you open that lever, shut that, tighten this screw, necessary, as much as you see, and there's zero play. It says make sure there's no play. The lever locks solidly, and that's going nowhere. That is super tight lockup. So the next is we mount this piece here, and you kind of have a lot of variation how far back you want your scope, how you want to run it. I'm going to probably run it right about there, so I get my rear objective right about here. So okay, so the top mount just easily goes on the Picatinny rail here. It's got little slots. What's awesome about this design is you can slide it in, slide it out, so you get perfect centering over your bore. You're not relying on a one-piece design like this that may or may not put it right over bore. So what's great is you can line this rail up right with your rear sight, look straight down this. You should be right over bore ground that your sights are on. But really cool. And then once you get it leveled where you want it to, I use some blue Loctite on those bolts, and you just simply tighten them in. So we'll get it all lined up the way I want it, and then we'll go on to putting the scope on, which is the easiest part. You can see here there's a little flex too, so you can actually dial it in absolutely perfectly. I mean, that's what's really great about this mount. We got it all mounted, stay tuned, lined up. I wanted to show you this though. See that dust cover? Oh, look at that. You can still remove that with the mount on there. That's pretty awesome. I didn't think you'd be able to with the lack of coverage. So if you needed to remove that dust cover, it does slide off with the mount in place, and you can take out your cleaning rod and so forth, or your recoil spring and all that. All right, now we got our optic mounted. As you can see, it sits much lower. I'll tighten those up in a second. Overboard, let's go ahead and flip it around and I'll show you like I did before. rifle is empty. I just had to shut that to clean it, but you can see the big difference. I mean, look at that. I used to be able to fit my whole finger under there. Can't even fit hardly anything on there. So there's just enough space to get the dust cover off, but look how low it sits. I mean, you can see how low that mount sits, right in line with that rear sight. So the scope still has some clearance there with the rear sight, and I could actually probably even go a lower ring. These are low rings. I could probably go extra low even and still be okay. But with the Yugo, with this raised cheek comb, it's actually perfect. I get a perfect cheek weld now instead of like a little bit of a chin weld. So definitely a top, I mean, the best choice in my opinion for AK rails out there is the RS Regulate AK 300 series mounts. Again, this is the 307, the lower part, the lower piece here. I'll flip it around again. Is the 307 mount, specific for the Yugo rifles, and it fits perfectly. No modifications necessary. And then it's got a, you know, you can mount many different types of optics. They've got upper modular pieces. They have like a Bushnell TRS-25 is a very popular budget optic. You can get a mount for that, put it on there. So if I want to mount a different optic, I could just take off this portion and unscrew it, put the new mount on, have a new optic. Should hold 0 just fine. We'll probably do some testing of that just to see. I did remove this. You can get the dust cover off. Getting it back on is kind of a bear. So I did remove it, and it's solidly locked up. Once I got that locking lever in, it didn't move at all. It's in the same position I had it before. So that's a sweet setup right there, guys. The RS Regulate mount with the primary arms 1-6, 4762 by 39. That is a killer setup for any AK. So awesome product, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll put a link to where I bought this from, which is Primary Arms. This is the second run of the 307s. The first run sold out pretty quickly, so I missed it. So I did get in on the second run of them. And if you buy it from Primary Arms, they do have a discount on the upper mount. They're the only vendor I've seen that if you buy this, they'll discount this upper mount. So I think the whole package was about $174. Now you're thinking, well, that's a lot, you know, for an AK mount. But, you know, and the price is high, like something like this, a Midwest Industries, you know, even if you didn't buy the cheap eBay knockoff, I knew I was getting this mount, so I just bought this temporarily. Even if you bought the Midwest Industries, you're still over $100. And on the Yugos, it just sits way too high. This is honestly 100%. If you have a Yugo NPAP or an OPAP or an M70, this is 100% your best option. Top quality product. You know, I have no doubt that it's going to last a lifetime. So I wouldn't, you know, I think it's very, very much worth the price. So, all right, guys, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We'll see you on the next one.